The challenge that silenced a giant. The Hong Kong sun burned down on the Game of Death film set, and the air was thick with the tension typical behind the scenes of a martial arts film. Bruce Lee, his physique sculpted by discipline and years of relentless training, adjusted the camera's focus as technicians set the stage for the next scene. Among the stuntmen and extras, an imposing figure stood out, a man almost 2 meters tall, shoulders as broad as tree trunks and arms that seemed capable of crushing rocks. He was a professional strongman, hired for a sequence that required brute strength, and his weight was around 130 kilos. While Bruce was reviewing the script with the team, the big guy, still not knowing the star well, let out a comment out loud, as if he was just joking, but with a tone that didn't hide his disdain. That one? With that size, it shouldn't be a threat to anyone. It looks like a strong wind could knock it over. Those nearby laughed nervously. Some knew of Bruce's reputation, others do not. The strongman, confident in his muscle mass, continued the provocation, gesturing as if he were measuring Bruce with his eyes. At most, he should fight with children. Or maybe with a bag of rice. Bruce didn't react immediately. He just looked up from the script, observed the man for a moment and calmly put the papers aside. His movements were precise, almost calculated. Without rushing, he took off his shirt, revealing a defined torso, where every muscle seemed to have been forged in steel. The strongman stopped laughing. "Do you think size is everything?" asked Bruce, his voice low but clear. "Let's see then." Before anyone could intervene, Bruce positioned himself a few steps away from the big man. The strongman, still thinking it was a joke, opened his arms in a gesture of defiance. "Come on, then. Push me to see if you can move me." Bruce didn't hesitate. In a fluid movement, as if he were dancing, he moved forward and placed his palm on the man's chest. It wasn't a punch, nor a violent shove, just a light, almost imperceptible touch. But the effect was immediate. The strongman was thrown back as if he had been hit by a truck. His feet left the ground, and he fell backwards onto the ground, 300 pounds of muscle and fat sprawling, the air escaping his lungs in a surprised groan. Silence took over the set. Even the technicians, accustomed to Bruce's displays of skill, were stunned. The big man stood up slowly, eyes wide, rubbing his chest where Bruce's hand had touched him. There was no anger on his face, just disbelief. How did you do that?" Bruce smiled, without arrogance, just with the confidence of someone who knew exactly what he was capable of. Strength is not just size. It's technique, it's precision, it's knowing where and how to apply it. You have muscles, but you don't know how to use them. I don't need to be bigger, I just need to be better. The strongman lowered his head in shame, but there was no resentment in his gesture. He extended his hand to Bruce, who shook it firmly. "Teach me?" asked the man, now with genuine respect in his voice. Bruce nodded. "Of course. But first, let's finish this scene. The camera is waiting." And so, what could have been a moment of humiliation turned into a lesson. The take was recorded, and Bruce Lee's legend grew even more, not just as a fighter, but as a man who proved, with every gesture, that true strength lies not in size, but in mastery. The legacy of the technique. The following days were of transformation. The strongman, whose name was Eric Voss, became not only a dedicated student, but a disciple eager to absorb every detail of Jeet Kune Do. Bruce, in turn, found in him an unexpected partner, a giant willing to prove that brute strength could be refined, that unchecked power was just waste. Filming for Enter the Dragon progressed, and Eric's presence on the set, now as a choreography assistant, attracted attention. Some production members murmured suspiciously. Why would a man that size be learning from the smallest of the group? But Bruce ignored the comments. "I knew the real test would come soon." And it came. During a temple fight scene, a stuntman, a former MMA fighter known for his aggression, decided he would not follow the script. Halfway through the take, he threw a real punch aiming for Bruce's temple. The blow was quick, treacherous. But before the fist arrived, Eric intervened. With a fluid, almost imperceptible movement, the giant deflected the attack and pinned the stuntman to the ground, pressing his arm at an angle that made him scream in pain. "Never again," Eric growled, eyes as cold as steel. "Here, we fight like artists, not like animals." The set fell silent. The director, after a long moment, just nodded. "Cut. Let's do it again." Bruce watched everything without saying a word. But when Eric approached, he smiled. "You learned quickly." "You taught me that strength without discipline is just violence," Eric replied. "And I don't want to be violent. I want to be strong." The last rehearsal. Months later, filming came to an end. Bruce was exhausted but satisfied. The film would be his masterpiece, the synthesis of everything he believed about martial art, philosophy, and life. On the last night on set, Eric came to him. "I'm leaving tomorrow," said the giant. "I'm going back to Germany. But I wanted to thank you." Bruce reached out his hand, but Eric pulled him into a strong, almost suffocating hug. "You gave me more than technique. You gave me purpose." "You already had it inside you," Bruce replied, letting go with a smile. "I just needed someone to show the way." Eric nodded, moved. "I'm going to open a school. Teach what I've learned. That true strength isn't in breaking bones, but in lifting people up." Bruce laughed, clapping his friend on the shoulder. "Now yes, you understand." The end and the beginning. Years later, when the news of Bruce Lee's untimely death shook the world, Eric was at his gym in Berlin, surrounded by students. Among them, children, elderly people, former athletes, all united by the same quest, not for victory, but for mastery. He held up a photo of Bruce on the wall, next to a handwritten quote, "The art of fighting is the art of life. It's not about who's stronger, it's about who's wiser." And so, the legend continued. Not just in films, not just in fights, but in the hands of those who learned that true strength is not measured in kilos, but in transformed hearts.